Good day to you my friends, I'm Kenator and today I'm going to be reviewing the new creature taming open world adventure Palworld by Pocket Pair, which just launched into early access. I've played around 70 hours as of writing this review, and while the game does have up to 4-player co-op, I've played solo for obvious reasons. I've also not completed everything yet, so this won't be a completionist review. As you can clearly see the influence here, and I hate to say it because there are plenty of differences. Simply put, it's Pokemon meets a mix of Valheim or V Rising. There's a big open world sandbox to explore, and each area has different creatures or pals as they are known here, as well as different biomes like icy or volcanic to deal with. These pals come in different shapes, sizes, genders, more on that later, and element types. The game starts you off awaking, washed up on a beach. You don't know where you are and what's going on with these sets of islands, and it sets you off to survive by yourself and to find out what the hell's going on. The survival aspect is pretty light. You just need to make sure you eat a few berries now and then and you are golden. And later on you even get a bag to keep your food in, which automatically keeps you topped up. Now that's progress. As you venture into the islands, you will find not only higher level pals blocking your progress, but a temperature mechanic too. Some areas like a desert or volcanic island are too hot to handle, and the icy areas will have you freezing your nuts off. It can even get a bit too chilly with just the sun going down, leaving you hugged tightly to your campfire. To solve this, new equipment will be needed, and all those shiny new toys of course are locked behind a tech tree. Now, I really like the tech tree in Palworld. You can't pick everything till you explore a little, and each level will net you a certain amount of points to spend on those unlocks. As you go down through the tech tree, they start to get a little bit more expensive. Thankfully you can find both items as well as fast travel statues that when activated give you a bonus point to spend. And the islands are literally littered with these, and they really help you get around this truly massive map. The only downside I found to this tree is that some of the things that you can unlock are actually dependent on things that come later on in the tree, and that did feel just a little bit frustrating. So for all the explorers out there, this game is packed with so much to find, from dungeons, bosses, POW eggs, treasure and more. Just like Valheim and very unlike Pokemon, you start with nothing to your name. There are no starter creatures, no basic equipment, just you in your underwear and your fists to hit on trees, or to pick up items off the floor. But before you know it, you'll have a small base up and running, and this becomes your sanctuary for the next 20 hours or so as you level up and capture more pals, build out your base with structures that they can operate, and this is where the game really comes into its own, as each pal will have its own set of base skills. Some will plant crops, some will mine rocks, some will even produce items or food for you directly. Your base has its own level too, which both dictates how many bases you can have and how many pals you can have working there at any one time. And each level here just has a few small requirements to meet, which are also mostly blocked by what tech you have unlocked, and it's just a case of building it into your base. This really makes you want to head out and catch them all, since some pals only have 1 or 2 abilities and others can have 5 or 6, letting you really customize how you want to set up your workforce. You will get raided, be it by various pals or other human NPCs from the various factions on the islands. So you will need to have some good fighters safeguarding your base too. But this only comes a little bit later once you're set up, so don't worry about it right at the start. The main downside to base building here is that the pieces for your home are rather limited, and it's just the square design pieces. The game's focus seems to be more on the factory and automation aspects, but credit to Pocket Pair, there are a whole load of different cosmetics to choose from to spruce your house up with, although these will cost you tech points to unlock, so the choice is yours to make. One important tech that will really open up the game is the saddles. There are quite a few different pals that can be ridden as their special skill, and each one has a hidden tech on the tree that will only appear for unlock after you've captured the related pal. At first it could just be a wolf that you can start riding, maybe you find a big enough pal that can swim across the seas with you on its back. But it won't take long before you both bag a big enough flying creature and the level needed to ride it, and suddenly you're flying over the top of mountains. The game does keep this rather overpowered ability in check however with the stamina system, and unlike your own stamina, your pals can't be increased, so your flying is mostly in short bursts. But you want to know about the guns, right? Because if you've heard anything about Palworld at all, it would have been from the many people saying it's just Pokemon with guns. Well, yes, there are guns you can get, but the craftable guns are for you and you only, and specific pals can have weapons. And these are locked into the tech tree, just like the saddles. So it's not like you can give a machine gun to any pal that you please. It's going to be a specific pal that can have that. Not only that, this skill will come with a cooldown once you've unlocked it and used it. So it's not something you can spam constantly. But you know what, this is a small price to pay for firing eggs out the bird's butt like a grenade launcher. What Palworld may lack in originality, it more than makes up with complete nonsense and hilarity like this. While the game has its fair share of grind like the other games I mentioned, I've not once been bored while I take stints in capturing more pals, fighting bosses, or exploring. I did however find the game super light on story content, and while there is many a data pad to find that will tell the story of a previous castaway that arrived on this island, it's just a tiny bit of text per data pad and doesn't really do a whole lot for the game. But do remember, it is still early access, and this is something that Pocket Pair could expand on throughout the early access timeframe. I do hope they add a bit of voice acting though. It could go a long way to adding more depth to the lore, since they took time to craft such amazing intro animations for the 5 main bosses. Further into the game, you can expect to delve into breeding pals, which you will obviously need 2 of the same pal, 1 of each gender. And the main reason for doing this will be to pass down positive traits so you can build up the strongest pal possible. And this will be where most of the die-hard fans will spend a huge amount of time trying to craft the perfect versions of their favourite pals. And this will also involve hunting down the more powerful and larger lucky versions of the pal that they're interested in, all for that special rare trait. So the short of it, while certainly unfinished, there is a lot to sink your teeth into with Palworld. It was pretty stable for me and I didn't get a single crash during my playtime. The main improvements I'd like to see is more variation in the biomes, since a large majority of the map is very samey and standard green with hills and trees. The tech tree could use some rebalancing and some better guidance for players on which area to head to next. Valheim certainly had a nice flow that seemed natural to its progression, where Palworld seems to be just a bit lost in itself. Getting all the different pals and the variations was certainly fun for me, as was the thrill of trying to capture those lucky shiny pals without killing them. All in all, it's a solid start and certainly one of the more stable early access releases I've played, and I would definitely recommend Palworld for anyone that loves exploring and collecting in games, especially if you've just got to catch them all. Do let me know your thoughts and I'll see you guys in the next one. Kinator out.